Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. Everybody out here thinks men are complicated, but I'm here to tell you we are not. We are simple, but we are deep. And if you ever want to know the one compliment that turns a man on more than anything else, it's not about his body, it's not about his money, and it's not about what he can buy you. It's about who he believes he is when he's standing in front of you. Men crave respect more than praise about looks. And once you understand that, everything about how you speak to a man changes. See, compliments about appearance are easy. Any man can hear that he looks good, that his smile is nice, that his style is sharp. Those words land on the surface and they feel good in the moment, but they don't sink deep. A man can walk out the door, face pressure, rejection, failure, and doubt, and those compliments disappear like smoke. Respect, though, that's different. Respect sits in his chest. Respect stays with him when nobody's clapping. Respect becomes the fuel he runs on. A man doesn't wake up every day trying to be admired. He wakes up trying to be worthy. Worthy of his responsibilities, worthy of his role, worthy of the people who depend on him. When you respect a man, you're telling him, without saying it directly, that he is capable, that he is reliable, that he matters beyond how he looks or what he owns. That hits a place in him that attraction alone can never reach. That's why a man can fall deeply for a woman who makes him feel seen and respected, even if she never once talks about his appearance. Respect sounds like trusting his decisions. It sounds like acknowledging his effort, even when the results aren't perfect. It sounds like saying, I see how hard you're trying. Instead of focusing on what's missing, men live under constant pressure to perform, to fix, to lead, and to hold things together. When someone recognizes that weight and doesn't mock it, minimize it, or take it for granted, the bond grows stronger instantly. This is where many people get it wrong. They think attraction is built by flattery, but flattery fades. Respect builds loyalty. A man who feels respected feels safe enough to open up, to be vulnerable, to invest emotionally. And when a man invests emotionally, his desire deepens naturally. He doesn't feel like he has to prove himself every minute. He feels like he can breathe. Respect also tells a man that he is not disposable. In a world where men are often valued only for what they can provide, respect reminds him that who he is matters just as much as what he does. That's powerful. That's grounding. That's the kind of compliment that makes a man want to protect the connection, nurture it, and show up consistently. When you respect a man, you're not feeding his ego, you're strengthening his identity. You're speaking to the part of him that wants to stand tall, do right, and be better than yesterday. And that kind of affirmation doesn't just turn him on emotionally, it anchors him to you in a way that looks alone never could. One compliment that speaks directly to a man's purpose reaches deeper than anything else you could ever say to him. Every man, whether he admits it out loud or not, is driven by a need to feel useful, meaningful, and aligned with something bigger than himself. From the time he's young, he is taught, sometimes gently, sometimes harshly, that his value is tied to what he can build, protect or lead. So when someone recognizes his purpose, not just his success, it touches a part of him that rarely gets acknowledged. Purpose isn't about money or status. It's about intention. It's about effort. It's about waking up every day and trying to move forward, even when the path is unclear. When you look at a man and say something like, "I see how dedicated you are," or "you're really good at what you do," you're telling him that his daily struggles are not invisible. That's not just a compliment. That's validation of his inner drive. It reassures him that his sacrifices mean something. Most men don't hear that often. They hear criticism when they fall short, silence when they're steady, and expectations when they succeed. Rarely do they hear appreciation for the journey itself. So when you acknowledge his purpose, you give him something rare, encouragement without pressure. You're not demanding more. You're recognizing what already exists. That makes him feel empowered rather than evaluated. This kind of compliment also builds desire because it aligns you with his direction. A man becomes deeply attracted to someone who understands where he's going, not just where he is. When he feels that you respect his goals and believe in his path, he naturally wants you closer. You become part of his motivation, not a distraction from it. That emotional alignment creates a strong pull that goes far beyond physical attraction. Purpose-driven compliments also strengthen a man during moments of doubt. Every man, no matter how confident he appears, has moments when he questions himself. When those moments come, the words that stay with him are not about how he looked on a good day, but about how someone believed in his vision. That belief can carry him through setbacks and failures. It reminds him that he is more than his current circumstances. When you speak to a man's purpose, you're telling him, "I see the man you are becoming." That's powerful. It tells him that he is not defined by one mistake, one delay, or one obstacle. It tells him that his direction matters. And when a man feels understood at that level, his attraction becomes rooted, steady, and deeply emotional. Feeling trusted fuels a man's desire in a way that most people never fully understand. Trust is not loud, and it is not dramatic, but to a man, it is one of the most powerful affirmations he can receive. When a man feels trusted, he feels chosen, he feels respected, he feels like the space he occupies in your life is secure. That feeling doesn't just calm him, it energizes him. It makes him want to rise to the responsibility that trust places on his shoulders. A man who is trusted walks differently. He speaks differently. He carries himself with more confidence because someone believes in his character and his judgment. Trust tells him that he doesn't have to constantly defend himself or prove his intentions. That sense of emotional safety allows him to show up fully without fear of being misunderstood or doubted at every step. And when a man feels safe, his emotional and romantic desire deepens naturally. Trust also communicates something deeper than words. It says, "I believe you are capable of doing the right thing even when I'm not watching." For a man, that message is incredibly intimate. It reaches beyond surface level attraction and taps into his sense of integrity. Many men feel that they are always under scrutiny, always one mistake away from losing respect. When someone offers genuine trust, it lifts that burden and replaces it with loyalty. This is where desire grows quietly but powerfully. A man doesn't feel pulled toward someone who constantly questions him or second guesses his intentions. But when he knows you trust him, he wants to protect that trust. He wants to be consistent. He wants to be dependable, not because he's forced to be, but because he values how you see him. That motivation is far stronger than fear or control. Trust also invites vulnerability. Men are often taught to hide their fears, their doubts, and their insecurities. When trust is present, those walls begin to lower. He feels allowed to speak honestly, to share what's weighing on him, and to admit when he doesn't have all the answers. That level of openness creates emotional closeness, and emotional closeness intensifies attraction in ways that physical chemistry alone never can. When you express trust in a man, you are telling him that his word matters, that his intentions are recognized, and that his presence is valued. That kind of affirmation stays with him. It influences how he treats you, how he invests in the relationship, and how deeply he connects. Trust doesn't just make a man feel wanted, it makes him feel worthy, and that feeling becomes a powerful source of desire. Words that affirm a man's competence ignite a level of confidence that few things can touch. At his core, a man wants to feel capable. He wants to know that when challenges show up, he can handle them, and when responsibilities are placed in his hands, he won't drop them. When someone acknowledges that competence, it doesn't just boost his ego, it strengthens his sense of identity. It tells him that his efforts are working, that his skills matter, and that he is not wasting his energy. Competence is deeply tied to self-worth for many men. From an early age, they are praised for what they can do rather than how they feel. They learn that mistakes are costly and that success is expected. Because of this, many men carry silent pressure to always appear capable, even when they are unsure. When you recognize his competence, you're relieving that pressure. You're telling him that he doesn't have to be perfect to be appreciated. He just has to be sincere and committed. This kind of affirmation goes beyond simple compliments. It sounds like noticing how he solves problems, how he stays calm under pressure, or how he follows through on what he says. When you say, "You handle things so well," or "I admire how you think things through," you are validating his internal process. That validation builds confidence that feels solid, not fragile. It gives him the courage to step into challenges instead of avoiding them. A confident man becomes more attractive not because he's loud or dominant, but because he feels secure in who he is. When his competence is affirmed, he doesn't feel the need to compete or prove himself constantly. He can relax into the relationship and show up authentically. That sense of ease makes emotional connection stronger and more genuine. Attraction grows naturally in that environment. Affirming competence also encourages growth. When a man feels seen for what he does well, he becomes more open to learning and improving. He doesn't interpret feedback as an attack. He sees it as part of progress. That openness creates balance. He feels supported rather than judged, and that support deepens his emotional attachment. When you acknowledge a man's competence, you are telling him that he is reliable, capable, and valuable. Those words echo long after the conversation ends. They influence how he carries himself, how he approaches his goals, and how he invests emotionally. That kind of affirmation doesn't just make him feel good in the moment. It strengthens the bond and fuels attraction in a lasting, meaningful way. Emotional safety amplifies attraction in a man in ways that are often underestimated. A man may appear strong, composed, and unshaken on the outside, but internally he carries pressure, expectations, and unspoken fears. When he feels emotionally safe with someone, it creates a rare space where he doesn't have to perform or protect himself. That safety is not weakness to him, it is relief. And relief, when paired with understanding, becomes deeply attractive. Emotional safety means he can speak without being ridiculed, misunderstood, or dismissed. It means his thoughts are heard, not immediately corrected. Many men are used to being interrupted, challenged, or told they're wrong when they express how they feel. Over time, that trains them to stay silent. When someone listens without judgment, it breaks that pattern. It tells him that his inner world matters, not just his actions. This sense of safety also allows a man to relax his guard. He doesn't feel like he has to constantly defend his choices or justify his emotions. When he knows that his honesty won't be used against him later, he becomes more open, more present, and more connected. That openness strengthens intimacy because true closeness requires vulnerability. And vulnerability, when met with respect, creates a powerful emotional bond. Emotional safety also reinforces trust. A man who feels safe emotionally is more likely to share his dreams, his doubts, and his fears. He begins to see the relationship as a partnership rather than a battlefield. That shift changes everything. Attraction grows not from tension or uncertainty, but from the comfort of being understood. He feels drawn to the person who makes him feel calm, grounded, and accepted. When emotional safety is present, conflict doesn't feel threatening. Disagreements become conversations instead of competitions. A man feels confident that he can express himself without losing respect or affection. That stability allows him to invest more deeply because he isn't afraid of emotional consequences. He knows that being real won't cost him the connection. Creating emotional safety is one of the most powerful compliments you can give a man without ever saying a single flattering word. It communicates acceptance, respect, and care all at once. When a man feels emotionally safe, his attraction deepens because he associates that person with peace rather than pressure. And peace, to a man who carries the weight of the world, is incredibly magnetic. Consistency in appreciation creates a lasting impact on a man that goes far beyond momentary attraction. A single compliment can make him smile, but consistent appreciation reshapes how he feels about himself and about the person giving it. Men live in a world where praise often comes only after big wins, major achievements, or visible success. Quiet effort, daily responsibility, and steady commitment often go unnoticed. When someone consistently recognizes those things, It fills a gap most men don't even know how to name. A man pays attention to patterns. He notices whether appreciation shows up only when things are good or whether it remains present during ordinary days and difficult moments. When appreciation is consistent, it feels sincere. It tells him that he isn't valued only for his highlights, but also for his reliability, his patience, and his perseverance. That kind of recognition builds emotional security. He stops feeling like love or attraction can be taken away at any moment. Consistency also removes confusion. Mixed signals create anxiety, but steady appreciation creates clarity. When a man knows where he stands, he relaxes into the relationship. He doesn't feel the need to overthink every interaction or guess whether he's doing enough. That clarity allows him to be more present and more generous emotionally. Desire grows naturally when there is certainty rather than doubt. Appreciation that is consistent also reinforces positive behavior without pressure. When a man feels acknowledged for his efforts, he becomes more motivated to continue showing up, not because he's chasing validation, but because he feels seen. This is different from praise that feels conditional. Conditional praise makes a man feel evaluated. Consistent appreciation makes him feel valued. That distinction changes how deeply he connects. Over time, consistent appreciation shapes how a man sees the person offering it. He begins to associate that person with encouragement, stability, and understanding. In a stressful world, that association is powerful. He feels drawn to the place where he feels uplifted rather than drained. Emotional attraction strengthens because he feels supported instead of judged. Consistency also builds trust in the emotional climate of the relationship. A man who feels consistently appreciated is more willing to open up, take emotional risks, and invest long-term. He believes that his effort won't be taken for granted. That belief creates loyalty, and loyalty, when paired with attraction, creates depth. What makes consistent appreciation especially impactful is its quiet nature. It doesn't need grand gestures or dramatic speeches. It shows up in small acknowledgments, in remembering details, in recognizing effort, even when outcomes fall short. Those moments accumulate. They create a foundation of emotional warmth that doesn't fade easily. When appreciation is steady, a man doesn't feel like he has to earn affection through constant proving. He feels accepted for who he is and encouraged for who he's becoming. That balance is rare, and when a man experiences it, it becomes deeply attractive. Consistency turns appreciation into a language of connection, one that speaks to his heart every single day.